Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you're doing great. So today we have a movie to talk about. I saw this movie at work, okay? And usually the things that I see at work are very random and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I end up making a video about it. Hello, here we go. This is another one. But I did saw this movie at work and I was confused. I can understand the movie, okay? But there's some things that I was like, why? You know, so I was like, I might as well just make a video about it. I want to know if people have seen this movie because I don't know. It was a very random movie. So I'm talking about To Catch a Killer. So this movie came out on April 21, 2023. Now I don't know if it has been on Netflix since then. It's not a Netflix movie from what I noticed, so I don't know if it hasn't been on Netflix since 2023 since it came out, or if it came out and then it was added on Netflix. I'm not entirely sure. I couldn't find the proper explanation. I don't know, but it is on Netflix at the moment. It is an American movie, I think, and it's an English movie, okay? So it's not Korean. That's basically what I'm trying to say. It is 2 hours long, almost 2 hours long. Things happen, okay, but also it can bore you a bit, but we'll get there. Let me tell you about the movie first, and then we will get as to the explanation on why I thought of it. So let me see. I have my notes here. I might be reading a lot because I watched this a while back. Lots of things here, honestly, but at the same time not too much. I'm not explaining myself properly. Let me just explain to you the movie. We meet the main character throughout this whole movie, and it is called Eleanor. She is a police officer, and she is responding to a call in a diner. Essentially a very stupid call in my opinion, but she's responding to it. She has to. And then while being there, she gets a call on the radio saying that they want all units to go to this apartment building. Essentially, she gets there. There is a mess happening. There's a bunch of other police. People are running out of the building, and Eleanor is like, I need you all to record everybody's face. Essentially, it's just in case the suspect is going outside and pretending and running off that they have his face. Essentially, that's what it is. But everybody's doing that. For some reason, like, there was an explosion that happened on the specific apartment, right? So there's like firefighters and everybody there. Is a whole mess, okay? For some goddamn reason that I still up to this day don't understand, she goes running in the building. She just goes in without a mask. Again, there was an explosion, so there's a lot of smoke, a lot of things in the air. She just runs up, she gets into the apartment, she falls off the window, but then she wakes up on the floor. So essentially what happened is that she fainted. They already took everybody out. Essentially, they're just there collecting evidence at the moment. Again, I don't know why she did that, but whatever. Okay, she wakes up, they're helping her, they're giving her oxygen, all of this, and we meet Landmark. He's an FBI agent, and he is in charge of the case. There is this tone throughout this whole section where Eleanor is looking around, and Landmark is like, where do you think this happened? Like, where do you think they put the bomb? All of that. Eleanor is like listening, and she's looking at a toilet. And Landmark sees her looking at the toilet, and he's like looking at her, looking at the toilet, and he goes, please check the toilet. And the guys are going, and he's like, no, take the whole toilet. And they do end up taking the whole toilet. And he keeps looking at Eleanor in this face of, you were looking at the toilet a lot. That means that you think of something or know something. That kind of a thing. Essentially, he ends up recruiting Eleanor to work for them in the FBI together with Mackenzie. He is Landmark's partner in the FBI. They recruit her, she goes and she started helping them on the case. Some details about the case. I'm gonna be reading this because I'm not remembering this. Nobody was in the apartment when it blew up. The explosion was done by a grenade and a gas leak, and something about a rifle used in a US Army weapon over 40 years old. Essentially is the weapon. I don't remember why the rifle. I think that the rifle thing was because there was a shooting first somewhere. I don't know if it was in the apartment, but there was a shooting first somewhere, and then it was the explosion, I think. But there was a shooting somewhere and then the explosion. I think that's what it was, and that's where the rifle thing appeared. Landmark, Eleanor Mackenzie go to the morgue to talk to the guy there. There were a bunch of people that died there, and they were looking, you know, see what the doctor could find. And they're talking to the guy there. They're telling them about stuff. And right there, Landmark gets a call. The police. It's somewhere. They found somebody that fits the description that they gave, and they were there already in the apartment just looking for the guy. It was a young guy, and he just fit the description. And we're like, he has a rifle, it fits, he plays video games, I think they said. He played some kind of video games that will lead to him knowing how to use a rifle and shoot people and work with bombs. Either way, it was not the guy, by the way. The guy ends up jumping off the window because he was scared and hits the floor. He was several floors up, so floor, not alive anymore. And when this happened, Landmark is talking to the police guy, and he's like, I hope you find a connection, otherwise you're fucked. We're all fucked. We're working on this. And all this because they're having pressure from the higher ups and the guy that runs the city, because this whole thing happening with bombs and all of that is very big for the city that they're under. It's not normal apparently, so they're under high pressure to find the person, and that's why they went straight for this guy. They never found a connection. The guy has nothing to do with it, so that was horrible. Okay, so we do get to know a little bit more about Eleanor, which is the reason that Landmark wanted her on the team, honestly. He finds out that she applied to the FBI years ago, a couple of times I think, but she always failed the psychological evaluation. So she has suffered from mental health issues, Jesus, and addiction, self-harm, and getting into the police was her way to get back her life, essentially. So I'm guessing, again, when that happened in the apartment with the toilet and all of that, Landmark noticed that there was something different about her, and that's why he wanted her in the team, because he probably, this is just me thinking, he probably saw that she could see and understand things that they probably couldn't understand for some reason. And by him knowing this about her now, he kind of understands why she understands the person that is doing all of this better than anybody. We will talk about that point in a second, but this is basically it. Okay, but we do get to know that about her, and it becomes important at the end at some point. There is a shooting in a mall, okay? Essentially, the killer is in the mall. Person is just trying to get clothes, food. The guards see the person. They're very insistent on seeing the bags, and the person starts shooting people there, and then sits down, puts bombs in the table like nothing, goes and blows them up. When this happened, of course, the FBI, everybody goes there. They see the cameras. They notice how the person was taking out, the person took out like a sandwich out of a trash can thingy, and the person was picking out the meat for it to just be like a veggie sandwich. And that was something Eleanor noticed and thought that was important. They saw that the person left a t-shirt in a trash bin as well. When they go to find it, there is not there, but they do end up finding it later. They go where they put the trash away, and they start looking through all the trash, and they find it. But again, because of this, the higher ups put pressure on Landmark again, and they pressure him to release the video to the public from the news, so people could call and give some tips to who they think this person might be. And he says, okay, let's do it. This whole point he didn't want to, but at the end it did happen. And of course he's the one in charge of the case, so if something happened, he will be to blame. So when all this happens, a lot of people are making calls saying stupid shit, honestly, but it was this one call that was made that the person was like, we are this big organization and we are coming from all of you and we are everywhere and we're gonna kill all of you and all of this, and making all of these claims. And they do find the people that make this call in a gas station or store, pharmacy store or something. They do kill a few of them. There was one that survived, and when they asked him about it, he was like, no, it was a joke, it was a prank. They decided to do this prank, it's like not true at all. So they just killed innocent people that just made a joke call, which is one of the main reasons why Landmark didn't want to release the video, because he was scared of this happening. It did happen. And again, because he is in charge of the case, he got all the blame and they put him off the case. So remember when I said Eleanor thinks different than everybody? This is why we started saying that. So she noticed some stuff very quickly. I even thought she's still working on the case. It's only Landmark that is not working on the case, I think. The point is, she noticed some stuff and she goes with Landmark to a guy that they interview the very beginning, and she was noticing that there was some stuff that he was saying that didn't make any sense, and essentially it was something about him being in multiple places working. At the end he just said like, hey, sometimes I'm tired and I just contract people to go to where I'm supposed to be and do the work for me, and then I go there and be like, hey, this is the job done, that kind of a thing. And there was a guy specifically that he contracted that fit the description of the man that they were looking for, and that he worked in a butcher place thing. When they go to this place, they figure out that the guy that the other guy contracted was called Dean Posey. I don't know how to say that, but that he worked in a slaughterhouse, and he was the son of a former shooting instructor for the US Rangers. So everything is just clicking right now that Dean might be the one involving all of this. So they do go to the house. They go to his mom's house, Mrs. Posey, that's how they call her. She's the mom. They go in, they start talking to her, and Eleanor noticed that there is some man clothes outside. She noticed that there's a table with 2 cups there, tea, something, coffee, whatever. And then she noticed a trail going to a shed that was very far. And before she can even say something, the person that is on the shed, which is Dean, kills Landmark. Headshot, just done. And the mom is like, don't move, Eleanor, because if you move, he's gonna kill you. So she convinces the mom to help. The mom goes, she's talking to him like, you need to do something, you cannot do this, blah blah blah. The moms end up herself, unaliving herself right there in front, outside, which makes Dean go out, okay, and go in the house and start talking to Eleanor. This talk is very long, okay. There is, I don't remember even being background music. It's just silent talk there, okay. But one thing they were talking a lot about was misanthropy, and I mean, I'm gonna use a wiki page. I'm sorry, Wikipedia might not be the best thing, but I'm using it because the whole conversation was around this. So what I found that this is, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Misanthropy, I cannot say that, is the general hatred, dislike, or distrust of the human species, human behavior, or in nature. As someone who holds such views or feelings, involves a negative evaluative Jesus attitude towards humanity that is based on humankind's flaws. Hold that these flaws characterize all, or at least the greater majority, of human beings. They claim that there is no easy way to rectify them short of a complete transformation of the dominant way of life. There's types of this causes, there's a lot of things. But essentially that was the core of this conversation that Eleanor and Dean were having. At the end, Dean tells Eleanor, hey, my wish is to go outside, lay down where my mom is, fall asleep, and when I fall asleep you can then kill me. Okay, I don't take too long, fall asleep, that's what I want. But before that can happen, police gets there, which makes him go aggressive again, and he does end up killing a couple of the police person that were there. He blows up the shed, with of course makes some of the police members that were close by die. He takes Eleanor to a basement, I think it was. The point is that she is able to get out by biting him so hard that he's bleeding a lot. I think she bit his ear or somewhere around here. There's a lot of blood happening, okay? And she's able to go. She was tied up. How did she get out? I don't remember how she got off from where she was tied up. I don't fully remember how she did that, but she did. She got out. Mackenzie was there. He gets her, and the police keep running because she tells them, hey, he ran away. They found him, and he commits suicide by cop, essentially. But I remember that is where a person points a gun at a police and they have to shoot. That's technically what happened. At the end, the major and all of the higher ups are trying to cover this for some reason. I never understood why they wanted to cover this, that Dean was involved and that he died. I don't fully remember why, but they wanted to cover everything, and they were trying to buy Eleanor's silence, of course. She wasn't happy what they were offering, so she ends up making a deal of he wanted honors for a landmark, something like that, and for her to have a position in the FBI, which they agreed to. She signs it, and she goes on her way, now being part of the FBI. That's all. Like I said, I watched this very random at work. It was one of those things where I was trying to find something to watch. I found this and I was like, huh, let's watch it. And then I was like, huh, okay. You know, I ended up making a video. This is what this is. The idea of what they wanted to do was there, but it can feel flat a bit. You know, not all parts, but it just felt flat for me. But I understood the idea that they were going for with this movie. I think the music and what they were doing to build that tension in some of the scenes was good, and that made the movie go a long way, okay, and it helped the movie progress. The way that it was filmed and all of that was very weird. I don't think the budget for this was big. I don't remember. I think I found the budget, I just didn't put it. I don't remember fully. It was a couple of millions, I think. I don't know, but there's something about it that was like, I don't know, there was something about it that just felt flat. I will say, and this is probably just me, I might not be the greatest one to talk about this, but this is something that I always thought was weird. I don't have any mental illness, from what I know. The main ones are anxiety and depression, so I might not be the greatest one to talk about this. But the part where Eleanor is talking with Dean, okay, and I wrote this, I wasn't going to forget this. There is no music in the background for what I remember, it's just them talking. It makes it look as if both of them have the same mental illness that I mentioned in the beginning. I don't know if that's actually a mental illness fully, but that was like the core of the talk essentially. But it made it look like they both had that, and they're both showing what can happen to people with that. I don't think I'm explaining this. She has it, but she didn't become a serial killer. Instead, she's using it to get serial killers like Dean. You know, that explains it better. You know, like she's using that mental illness not to kill people, but to analyze and like see things that people don't see, and capture those people that have mental illness that define them, and that's why they became a serial killer. I never know how to feel when movies use mental illness as a characteristic, or as a way to develop a serial killer, or as a way to describe a serial killer in a movie. Am I explaining that right? Because in a way, it's like they're using the mental illness as a characteristic, so it makes it look as if everybody that has a mental illness, let it be whatever it is, can be a serial killer, when in reality that is not true at all. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm not explaining this right, but it's always make me feel kind of weird when they use a mental illness to be like, yeah, he's a serial killer, but it's because he has this mental illness, and that's why he's like this, you know? Am I explaining this right? So in this whole part, it's like them being like, yeah, these two people have the same mental illness, but Eleanor is using it for the good and Dean is using it for the bad, right? And even they're using this mental illness to describe both characters, a good one and a bad one. And throughout this whole talk in this scene, from the description, it looks like, you know, these people, or at least the description and in the movie, it made it look like these people feel like they're higher than most humans. They have better, they're more intelligent, that type of thing. And that's the vibe that it gave me in the movie, that both of them felt that they were better than everybody because everybody's below them, that type of a thing. So in this talk, it was as if both of them were fighting for who was more intelligent. Like, we both have the same mental illness, we both feel the same way about humanity. I'm better than all humans. You think that same way, but no, because I'm better than you. You know, that type of a thing. And this whole talk is just them talking in a way to make it look like they're more intelligent than the other one. And at the end, Dean being like, I'm gonna do this and you can, you know, kill me. It was a way of him being like, okay, I accept that you're more intelligent than me. I accept that I'm below you. I accept that I'm like all of the humans in this world. So you win. You're more intelligent. I'll do this so you can do that and you win. You know what I mean? I don't, again, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm the only one that thinks this, maybe I'm not the right person to talk about this, but using mental illness to describe a killer, you know, it's like, he suffers from this mental illness, that's why he's like this. It's like, yeah, but you making it look like everybody that has a mental illness is the same way and is a serial killer, or they can do bad things, and that is not true. Not everybody is like that. You know, I don't know. Every time I see a movie like that, it's like I understand what you were going for, okay? Because it makes sense with Dean. He was killing people for killing people. There was no, you know, there was nothing that was connecting the people that were being killed. They were just humans that he thought were below him, you know? I don't know. And then with Eleanor, again, having a mental illness, instead of being a killer, she was using it for good. She was using it to notice things that other people weren't noticing, that, you know, the meat being taken out of the sandwich, the toilet thing, you know, little things like that. She was noticing it because they both share in common that mental illness, or that describe them, what they were feeling. I don't know, maybe just me again, but this movie is not horrible, okay? It's just not great either. It's not great either. It did very well on Netflix. From what I saw, it was on the top 10 for a while, I think, so people are watching it. I never know to believe the top 10 in Netflix, honestly, because sometimes it's like a movie's already out and it's already the top 10. It's like, of course it's gonna be in the top 10. People are watching it like crazy, you know? I don't know, but it was in the top 10 movies for quite a bit. I did like I said, how they created that tension in the scenes with the music and all of that, and how they showed the higher ups controlling everybody below them to do what they wanted to do to solve the case as quick as possible so they can go on with their lives and not care about it. I do, you know, enjoy how they did that and to make it look like that. So there's a few good things about this. It's just not the greatest movie I have seen. You know, it might bore you sometimes. I don't know. If anybody has seen this, please let me know what you thought of this. Maybe there's something that I'm missing here, and that's probably why I'm not understanding the movie as much. But please let me know if you have watched this, that you like it. Is there anything that you would change? Let me know. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're doing great, and I'm gonna see you on this one.